Hello friends, today let's listen to a beautiful story. A capybara sat calm until a croc rose from below. It was late afternoon by the riverbank. The sky was a melting pot of orange and purple hues, mirroring the fiery colors of the setting sun. The air hung heavy with the scent of distant rain and the cacophony of the jungle. In the heart of it all, bathed in the golden light, sat a capybara. Its fur glistened like polished mahogany, each strand reflecting the dying embers of the day. It was an image of serene tranquility, a picture of peaceful existence. The capybara's large whiskered face was turned towards the river. Its dark eyes, pools of calm, were half closed, gazing at the rippling water. Occasionally, it would twitch its nose, inhaling deeply the essence of the wild. Its paws, webbed and strong, rested lightly on the muddy bank, barely disturbing the surface of the water. As gentle ripples lapped at its paws, the capybara seemed almost one with the river, its breath mingling with the murmur of the current. Everything seemed perfect, idyllic. Even the river flowed, the birds sang, and the capybara basked in the fading light. The image was one of perfect peace, a scene straight out of a tranquil jungle dream. The only sound was the soft lapping of water and the distant calls of evening birds. Time seemed to slow down. The relentless march of seconds and minutes was replaced by an eternal present. There was no past, no future, only the now of the riverbank, where a capybara sat in the fading light, lost in the timeless embrace of nature. But this picture of perfection, this slice of tranquil existence, was not destined to last. The surface of the river, placid and inviting, suddenly exploded upwards. The water churned and frothed, and with a force that defied the stillness of the moment, a giant crocodile shot out. Its massive frame broke the surface, accompanied by a spray of water droplets that glittered in the dying light. Its jaws were wide open, revealing rows of sharp, menacing teeth that could easily tear flesh from bone. For a moment, the only sound was the heavy splashing of the crocodile as it hauled itself onto the bank. Then, with a suddenness that was startling, it let out a deafening roar, a sound that echoed the raw power of the wild. This burst of energy and noise shattered the serene calm that had blanketed the riverbank. The very air seemed to crack under the force of the crocodile's emergence. In the face of this sudden, violent intrusion, the capybara's head jerked up. Its eyes, moments ago half closed in blissful relaxation, now wide and alert, stared directly at the crocodile. The peaceful scene had transformed into a tableau of anticipation. The setting sun cast long shadows on the ground, stretching and distorting the forms of the two animals in a macabre dance of life and death. The crocodile, a symbol of untamed power, stood in stark contrast to the capybara, a picture of docile vulnerability. On one side was primal aggression and raw strength, on the other, fragile innocence and quiet resilience. The air was thick with tension, the stillness broken only by the heavy breathing of the two animals locked in a silent battle of wills. The fate of the capybara hung in the balance. Would it flee, perhaps in a desperate attempt to save itself? Or would it stand its ground, challenging the might of the crocodile with an act of defiant courage? The outcome of this confrontation was uncertain. Each move, each twitch, each blink held the potential for sudden action. The drama of the chase was frozen in place, the only movement being the twitching tails of the two animals. The crocodile took a step forward, its predatory gaze unwavering. The capybara responded by taking a small backward step, its eyes never leaving the crocodile's. In that moment, it was as if the world held its breath. Every heartbeat resonated with the tension of the standoff. Seconds ticked by, each one an eternity. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant chorus of crickets. Then, quite unexpectedly, the crocodile made another move. Instead of lunging forward, it lowered its head slightly, almost as if it were studying the capybara. This unexpected pause injected an element of surprise into the unfolding drama. The audience, whether animal or human, was left wondering about the crocodile's next move. Was it considering retreat, or was it merely sizing up its prey before the final strike? The air remained charged with tension, the slightest movement capable of shattering the fragile equilibrium. As the crocodile circled the capybara, the latter remained motionless, its eyes glued to the reptilian predator. Its body was still, betraying no fear, no panic, no emotion. The silence continued, broken only by the soft lapping of water against the riverbank. Time seemed suspended, each second stretching into an eternity. The capybara's composure was unwavering. It stood firm, facing the crocodile without flinching. Its stance exuded a strange sort of confidence, a quiet assurance that was baffling to any observer. The crocodile, after what seemed like an age, finally decided to break the silence. It let out a low growl, a sound that reverberated the threat it posed. The growl rumbled in its chest, a physical manifestation of its predatory instincts. The capybara didn't budge. It continued to stare at the crocodile, its gaze steady, unwavering. The silence returned, thicker and heavier than before. The tension was palpable, a tangible entity that seemed to fill the air. This display of calm in the face of danger was perplexing to the crocodile. It was a creature accustomed to fear, to the panicked flight of its prey. But this reaction, this lack of response was uncharted territory. The crocodile, used to the thrill of the chase, the quick movements and sudden strikes, was off its rhythm. The chase was supposed to be a game of cat and mouse, of predator and prey. But this mouse was different. It wasn't running, it wasn't hiding. It was standing its ground, daring the crocodile to make the first move. And make no mistake, the crocodile was a hunter, a ruthless, efficient killer. It had stalked and captured many a prey. But this capybara was unlike any it had encountered before. The crocodile circled again, its eyes gleaming with a mixture of confusion and aggression. It was a spectacle of raw power, of untamed will. But the capybara remained rooted to the spot, its gaze unbroken. It was a testament to the power of calm in the face of chaos. As the minutes passed, the crocodile grew increasingly agitated. It snapped its jaws, a warning, a threat. But the capybara didn't flinch. The crocodile, unable to comprehend this lack of reaction, finally did the unexpected. It turned and disappeared into the murky depths of the river. The surface of the water closed over it, hiding it from sight. Only ripples betrayed where it had been. The silence returned, but this time it was different. It was no longer tense, no longer pregnant with anticipation. It was peaceful, serene. The setting sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. The stars began to appear, one by one, as if nature itself was putting on a show to celebrate the capybara's survival. The capybara remained on the bank, its eyes fixed on the spot where the crocodile had disappeared. It didn't move, didn't breathe any differently. It was as if the encounter with the crocodile had been nothing more than a pause in its day. When it was sure the crocodile had gone, the capybara turned and slowly ambled back to the water. It shook its fur, sending droplets flying, and joined the river, disappearing into the cool, comforting depths. The incident was over, but its implications were far-reaching. The crocodile, a symbol of untamed nature, had been outsmarted by the calm resolve of the capybara. It was a lesson in strategy, a demonstration of how sometimes the best defense is a steady nerve. The capybara hadn't won because it was faster, stronger, or smarter. It had won because it had stayed calm, because it hadn't given in to the primal fear that would have led to its demise. The night deepened. The stars twinkled overhead. The jungle, which had held its breath during the confrontation, exhaled. The symphony of nocturnal creatures began their nightly chorus, celebrating life, celebrating survival, celebrating the triumph of calm over chaos. And somewhere in the heart of the jungle, a lesson was learned. Fear paralyzes, but calm conquers.